Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Monica. I like to post anti-MLM life and some true crime content here on this channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to stick around. Make sure to also like this video. In today's video, I am going to be discussing something that is purely opinion based. So of course, just as a disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only and just my opinions. I'm going to be discussing what I think about if there was ever a point in time that the MLM industry, I guess you can say, just kind of had a place in the world. The simple answer is I'm not 100% sure. So I'm gonna kind of talk about my personal opinions about what MLM used to be like and what MLM is like today. And I guess y'all can just kind of form your own opinion. Personally, I think that they were predatory all the time, but I don't think that they were as predatory back in the day as they are today, especially with the rise of social media. But we're gonna get into all of that. Before we do though, I did want to give a huge shout out to my sister-in-law. She brought me a shake today, so it's really good, and it's kind of helping me with my energy right now. So and I didn't even drink that much of it yet, but anyway, okay, let's get into this video. In this video, I am going to be kind of playing devil's advocate. So this idea for a video kind of came up when a few months ago I did a little bit of a dive into the MLM company Tupperware, because I feel like Tupperware has been around for a while. Some people still to this day do not know that it is an MLM. They think that it's just something that you buy for storage containers for your home. However, it is one of the original MLM companies. And a lot of people have also even adopted the word Tupperware as a way to talk about storage containers. I hear this all the time. People always say, oh, I'm gonna go buy some more Tupperware, but really they're just buying storage containers. So I think that it's kind of been one of those things that has been around for so long, but it is an actual MLM company if you aren't aware of that. And when I was doing the research for Tupperware, I was kind of putting myself in the shoes of these women back in those days. And that's kind of where I came up with this question of, was there ever a time and place for the MLM industry? Now, I understand that the MLM industry stems way before Tupperware, but this was just a good example of how the MLM industry was finally, I guess you can kind of say it was targeted towards women, because Tupperware is something that women are going to, well, at least back then, women were interested in using and everything because they were housewives. They were looking for an easy solution on anything that had to do with cooking and that kind of a thing. And I'm not trying to sit here and, I guess you can say, I'm talking about the stereotypical woman that you think of when you think of 50s housewife. That's what I'm talking about. And so back then, it was, they were going door to door. They were having these in-person parties. Also, another few MLMs that were known for women to be part of were Mary Kay and Avon. And in my personal opinion, I think that because most women back then were housewives, they were around children all day, they didn't have an opportunity to hang out with adults. The only time that they really would is if, one, they could get a babysitter, or two, if they had play dates. And I think that, me personally, I don't have children, so I don't know how it is, but honestly, if I had screaming children at home, I would want to be around adults every once in a while. You also have to think back on these times that a lot of these women also, well, families, also lived in suburbia. They had to drive quite a distance in order to go to the store and pick up groceries, be able to buy makeup. And now, all of a sudden, you have Mary Kay ladies, you have Avon ladies, and it's easier for you to just call Susan across the street and say, hey, I need another powder, or I need another foundation, or another eyeshadow, lipstick, whatever. It was easier for them to just call Susan across the street, have Susan come over, hang out with her for a little bit, buy some makeup off of her, and not have to leave the house, not have to go to the store. Because if you have children, I mean, I don't have kids, I have nephews, but if you have children, it's kind of a project to be able to go to the store. It's it's a little more inconvenient for moms to be able to pack up their kids, especially if you have more than one and you have a bunch of toddlers. And also you got to think about, is little Jimmy going to throw a temper tantrum because, and I've used this analogy before, is he going to throw a temper tantrum because I wouldn't let him hold a can of peas? So back then, in my personal opinion, I think that it was easier for them to just be able to call their friend across the street. Moving on to the actual business opportunity of these MLMs back in the day. I think that back in the day, it was women weren't really part of the workforce. This was a way for a woman to not only be able to hang around adults, but it was also an opportunity for them to be able to sell and to be able to feel like they're contributing to the family in more than just being a housewife. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a housewife, but I know a lot of women who are housewives and they do have this feeling of they aren't doing anything besides just taking care of the kids or just cooking dinner or just cleaning the house, which I'm going to give it to all of the moms out there and all of the housewives out there, because that is a lot of work. That is a ton of work that, yes, they're fortunate enough to be able to stay home because maybe their partner is making a really good income, but they do a lot of work. Another thing that you also have to think about is back in the day, if you were, let's say you were a Tupperware or a Mary Kay or an Avon lady, not only are you now being able to work and you're able to get out of the house and throw these parties with your friends and your neighbors and get to know people, but on top of that as well, back then, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have this instant gratification that we do today. Today, we have technology. We have the internet. We have the internet. I mean, if you have a smartphone, you have the internet in the palm of your hands at all times, as long as your phone is charged and as long as you have service. But you have the internet at all times. So let's say I decide to, when all of this is over, the pandemic, when all of this is over and hopefully everyone is safe, let's say I decide to go to the beach. If I have service at the beach and I see someone wearing a super cute bikini and I ask them, hey, where did you get that from? I can easily just jump on my phone and buy it right from just sitting on the beach. Whereas back then, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have this, oh, I really like your lipstick, I'm just gonna order it real quick. They didn't have that. We even have nowadays, you can order your groceries online and pick it up from the store. You don't even have to step foot out of your car. I do because I help them load it into my car. Some people don't, but that's just my personal opinion. I just wanna help everybody out. Even though I know that, some people don't, but that's just me. And I'm not trying to, I guess, talk down to anybody or be condescending to anyone who does sit in their car. But anyway, okay, getting off topic. But back then, they didn't have the internet. So if your neighbor or let's say your cousin was one of these MLM reps, they have a new product that came out. So they come over your house, you test out the product, and you buy it. You don't have this sense of, I'm just gonna hop onto the internet. And I think that that's why the rise of the internet and the rise of social media has kind of affected the MLM industry a little bit, because let's say that your favorite content creator on YouTube, one of these beauty gurus, for example, let's say that they come out with a new palette. All you have to do is order the palette offline. Whereas if you want to get something from Mary Kay or Avon or something like that, yes, you can still order it online, but more times than not, you have to go through a consultant. You have to find a consultant in your area, or let's say that you go online to order it, it has to go through a consultant. And then if you put in your information, you're gonna be constantly bombarded with phone calls, emails from someone who's trying to either one, get you to buy more product, or two, try to recruit you into their team. And that's something that they didn't really have to worry about back then. They didn't have to worry about the fact that, I don't even know who to talk about beauty guru-wise, because they're all kind of problematic. But let's say Jaclyn Hill comes out with lipsticks that aren't messed up. Let's say that she comes out with a good line of lipsticks, for example, and you go ahead and buy it. Well, there might be a lipstick or something by Mary Kay or Avon that is going to be about the same amount of money, if not the same or even more. There's one palette on the Unique website that is astronomically high. I think when I looked at it last, I think it was like $50 something for an MLM product. An MLM product, when you can get a beautiful palette from your favorite brand for the same price, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on what you're looking to buy. If you look at Color Street, for example, you have to go through a consultant in order to get those nail sticker things. But you can easily go to Ulta, I think it's Ulta, or no, I think it's Walmart. You can easily go to Walmart and buy the same exact thing, but it's a different brand within the company, and you don't have to go through a consultant, which I think that's shady. That is so shady on the company. And this pisses me off too when I see stuff on Amazon, like Beachbody products are also on Amazon. That pisses me off because they're taking away from their MLM reps. As much as I hate the MLM structure and as much as I hate the MLM industry, you are taking away from your consultants, who are, most of them, except for some in my opinion are scammers, but most of them are just people who are hoping to make a couple of extra bucks in order to maybe pay for their car payment or something like that, or be able to save up. Some of these people, they really don't know how predatory the MLM structure actually is. So you're taking away from your consultants who are truly just trying to make a living. Let's talk about how I think that the internet kind of made things worse for the MLM industry. First and foremost, I think that the stigma surrounding the MLM industry got 10,000 times worse because now we have access to research. We have access to different Zoom calls, for example. There are a lot of exposed videos on YouTube that show all of these reps and show when someone's reacting to them. It's talking about how this is exactly what we're talking about. This is an example of the predatory behavior that the anti-MLM community is talking about. So we have proof now. But I think that with the rise of social media and being able to see just how gross some of these MLM companies are and what they teach their MLM reps, it kind of makes these MLM reps look like, and I've used this analogy before, but it kind of reminds me of like a used car salesman like Danny DeVito and Matilda. If you've never watched that before, you might be a little bit too young to be watching me. But that's the best way that I can explain it, is that nowadays they just remind me, the way that they pitch, the way that they try to sell the product, it just seems very just gross. It doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really seem genuine, especially because a lot of us are getting copy and paste messages with the hey hun or the hey girl, which is where the term hunbot came from. There's a reason why they're called hunbots, because they say hey hun all the time or hey girl, and they just copy and paste like robots. It's literally, when I was in Beachbody, I was encouraged to invite people every single day, and they would just give you a script, and it's just a copy and paste, and you make it your own a little bit. But if someone's being bombarded by, because this is another problem, there's so many MLM reps out there because of market saturation, and there's so many MLM companies that you might get bombarded by a bunch of different people in a day, and it's going to be either the same script or very, very similar. Because you got to remember too, is that a lot of these MLM reps, they jump from MLM to MLM. I've talked to people that have been in several different MLMs until they realize that, one, it's not them that's not working hard enough, it's the MLM structure. Because let's be honest here, the MLM structure is predatory, and it's a horrible one in my personal opinion. But they also went from, if you think about how the internet kind of blew up and made everything a little bit worse for these MLM reps, is back in the day, people wanted that personal one-on-one connection. They wanted to go to these parties. I remember going to MLM parties with my mom to our family friend's house. Honestly, I thought it was fun. They had refreshments, they had donuts, and they had soda. So I was totally fine. As a kid, my mom said, it's fine, you can eat that tonight, because I didn't eat sweets or anything like that. I drank water all the time. I rarely ever had a juice box in my lunchbox. So it was one of those things like, I can finally eat some kind of junk food. So I looked forward to those MLM parties, and I thought they were fun. My mom wasn't a huge fan, but she would go to them to support her friends so that she could get some kind of prize, because she was the I guess you can say the hostess who was working with the MLM rep. But now it's no longer a personal, because if you think about it, all you're doing is you're networking. When you meet these people at a physical party, you're talking to people, you're getting to know people, you're getting able to get someone's email address, or I think back then email addresses didn't exist, but you'd get someone's phone number, and you would be able to kind of get a feel for who this person was. Whereas today, they will literally recruit anybody with a pulse, or try to recruit anybody with a pulse. And with the fact that we have the internet now, you can have people on your team from all over the country. For example, there was a story I read, I think I read it on Reddit. This was a really long time ago, but I read somewhere that there was a girl who was talking about how she was based in, I think it was New York City. And she was posting pictures and everything like that. I believe she was some kind of an influencer, but I'm not 100% sure. And a woman had contacted her and just started saying how she's coming to the city. She wants to just kind of see what the city's about. She would love to meet her in person, because it seems like they have a lot in common. And this is how most of my friends nowadays are honestly friends that I've met through my blog or through YouTube. A lot of my really, really close friends, people that I would consider close friends, and people that I've confided with, are people I've never met in real life. These are people that I talk to via video chat, or I just text on a regular basis, or something like that. You're building up a rapport with this person through the internet. And so these two met, because the girl that was based in New York City, she thought, yeah, this is great. I mean, maybe I'll have a new friend. There's someone coming in, they want to have coffee with me, like, this is cool. And it ended up turning out to be that this woman was just looking to pitch her MLM information and trying to recruit her onto the team, because she was a girl that she thought would do really well. They never talked again after that, and she actually ended up blocking her. So these are things that are the perfect example that they will literally reach out to anybody on Instagram. I have had so many people contact me and send me these hey hun or hey girl messages, even after I put anti-MLM in my bio. After I put that, and after there's a link to my YouTube channel that obviously is anti-MLM. So they don't do their research. They just go on, let's say, your Instagram. They go on your Instagram and they look and they see, oh, this person's super cute. She has a larger following. Especially if you have over 10K, it's usually they're like ding, 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 light bulb goes off. But they contact you and they say, hey, we like the same things. I think you'd be great for this business opportunity. But you've never met them before. How do you know that this person is good at selling? Because if you guys are saying that all you have to do is sell the product sells itself, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to recruit people or anything like that. Because we all know that if it all depends on recruiting, it's going to be one of these structures. It's going to be a scheme. But all they do is try to recruit people. So it's taken away from that personal touch of being able to talk to someone in person. And a lot of times these MLM reps will create this fake relationship with people. Now, do salespeople create fake relationships with other people in order to make a sale? Yes, they do. They do. There is that, and that's in every single sales job. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand. But there's also the people who are genuinely trying to get to know you, and they're genuinely trying to help you make the right, I guess you can say, decision, or give you the proper recommendation. There are people who are genuinely trying to help you, but there's also the people who are fake. And I think that the MLM industry kind of adopted that. They adopted that fakeness. They adopted that non-genuine conversation. I guess that's the best way that you could put it. With the rise of social media as well, I have seen that the MLM industry has become way more predatory. They are really big on recruiting people, because if you're, okay, let's say my town, because I live in a smaller town. let's say that I recruit a bunch of people. Well, eventually, all of those people are going to recruit people, and it's going to be all in the same town. Remember the story I reference all the time about when I was in Beachbody, and at one point in the town that I lived at that point in time, 3 Beachbody coaches, myself included, were pitching the same person? It happens because of market saturation. So what ends up happening is you start running out of people in your area. Now you have to, if you're like my old Mary Kay upline, she went to Panera, okay, and she was giving out business cards and saying that it's a free facial. So she was trying to recruit literally everybody. She was trying to get the word out there to everybody, which is probably why she made it so high in the company, because she would go to, and she didn't live anywhere near this Panera, because I ended up finding out where she lived. She lived like an hour away from this place. So this girl was literally everywhere trying to recruit people and trying to make some extra money. The one thing that I wanted to chat about is women empowerment. So like I said in the beginning of this video, is I think that in the beginning of the MLM industry, it was about empowering women, and it was about being able to give women a place in the workforce. Nowadays, they still preach this woman empowerment thing, but because the MLM industry is way more predatory than it was back when it first began, back when women first started becoming part of the MLM structure, I think that it's no longer about empowerment, because these people, like I said before, they will recruit anybody with a pulse. But the problem is that now these reps will stop at nothing to recruit people with a pulse. So instead of empowering women, now it's all about shaming women. It's about mom shaming. Well, don't you want to be at home with your children? Don't you want to be able to provide for your family? Which, in my personal opinion, moms, you're providing way more than enough. Whether you're working out in the world, or if you're a stay-at-home mom, you are contributing to the family. Then there's also, well, don't you want to lose weight? Isn't that kind of body shaming in a sense? Now, I understand that sometimes they do want to help people get on a healthy path, because that was my whole thing with Beachbody, is that I wanted to help people who felt the way that I felt when I first started Beachbody as a customer before I became a coach. I wanted to help people that were in that mindset that I was. But there are coaches out there who will literally go after brand new moms who just had a baby and will say, well, don't you want to drop that baby weight? And it's like, girl, this mom can't even walk around yet. This mom is at home feeding her children. She doesn't have time to be able to do a workout or to be able to eat the way that you're supposed to eat on whatever program it is. And that's just the thing, is that it's always about shaming. I also think that another way that they go against women empowerment as well is because a lot of times they'll make fun of people who are struggling. But there have been so many people that have said, well, if you want to be able to stay at your dead-end job, and if you don't want to follow your dreams, then I'm just gonna keep doing my thing over here with my MLM nonsense, but you can go ahead and still work that dead-end job kind of a thing. And that bothers me, because that's not women empowerment. Because some women, they don't want to sell MLM products. They want to be able to have a different type of job. And there's nothing wrong with working a stable 9-to-5 job where you are comfortable. You work from 9 to 5, and I put that in quotes because it's not really 9 to 5 anymore, but let's say that you're working this job. You get to go home and not worry about work. You have benefits. You have, and that includes healthcare. That includes maybe even dental for some places. You have a 401k. You have paid time off. And I've said this so many times, but these are things that the MLM company cannot provide you. And when you decide to go on vacation with paid time off, you don't have to work. Unlike these MLM reps, they go on vacation and they're constantly checking their phone. And they're working their business from anywhere. So that's something that bothers me, is that it's not about women empowerment. It's about making fun of people, okay? That's number one. And then another thing that I feel as though it's made the MLM industry a little more predatory than it was back in the day is nowadays, a lot of people join these health and fitness MLMs because they didn't go to school for nutrition or to be a dietitian or anything like that. So and they're not a personal trainer, but they can work this kind of through Beachbody, for example. Or they go on to say that if they're part of Unique, they're a makeup artist or something of that nature. And these people are not certified to make certain claims that they're making, especially the health and fitness MLMs. They really, really, truly scare me sometimes, and the essential oil companies as well. So this is just another thing, is that these people aren't certified to say these things. And back in the day, I mean, if you were Mary Kay or an Avon lady, back in the day, there weren't the same techniques that we have today. A lot of the makeup that was done back then was very traditional, was very simple. It's not like it is today. And you're taking away from people who have actually gone and gotten certified or gone to school for some of these things. So that's why I think that there's also this other stigma surrounding it. And don't even get me started on the small business owner nonsense or franchise owner nonsense, because they are neither of those. Neither of those, all right? They are neither of those. I also don't agree with the fact that nowadays it's all about the free trips. It's all about the free cars. And we know that they're not free. We know that in order to have one of those free cars that has the name plastered all over the place, for example, Arbonne has Arbonne in 3 different spots, and it's a white Mercedes. You can't pick a different color. But these people, they say it's a free car, but it's not. You have to make rank. And if you don't make rank, then you have to pay for that. You have to pay for that. And let me just tell you, a payment on a Mercedes is not going to be cheap. It's going to be expensive. What happens if something happens to the MLM company? That car is in your name. You took that car out in your name. So it's not like you can just give it back to the company. No, honey. It is now yours. So you are responsible for those payments. And the fact that they always talk about how no doesn't mean no, it just means not right now. And it wasn't just in the MLMs that I was a part of. I've heard it from so many different people who were in MLMs that they were taught the same thing. That's predatory behavior. And that's coming from, originally, it's coming from the MLM company, and then it just trickles down into the triangle-like structure that is the MLM industry and the MLM business model. So that, in my opinion, is predatory, because no means no. It doesn't mean, oh, I'll come back in a few weeks. No. No means no. Remember that, please, to any MLM reps that are watching this. They also make it more predatory nowadays because your uplines will tell you to join different Facebook groups that pertain to things that you like, or try to recruit people from, and I've heard this from so many people, and I've had so many people send me screenshots. Let's take fibromyalgia, for example. They have people pitching them for fibromyalgia, for their MLM products or their MLM business opportunity. And I think this is very predatory behavior, because you should be going into these groups for support. You should be going into, I mean, I'm part of dog groups. I'm part of different types of I guess you can say motivational groups too, or cooking groups, that kind of a thing. You're going in there to have fun. You're going in there to have some kind of support. You're not going in there in order to be recruited or pitched by an MLM rep who is going to try to tell you that they know everything about CBD, for example, because they were recruited by HempWorks, for example. So that's something that bothers me, is that the predatory behavior has just gotten 10 times, thousands of times worse than it was back in the day. Along with the rise of the internet, just like I said earlier in the video, we have the internet in the palm of our hands. We have resources like the FTC that say 99.7% of reps make little to no money, if they even make anything, or they lose money. So that's something that you have to think about too, is that we have everything in the palm of our hands. If you get recruited to, let's say, Beachbody, you can easily go on the website and you can easily look at their income disclosure statement right then and there. So it's not, I mean, I would hope that people would do that, because I didn't know what an income disclosure statement was until after I left the MLM. Most people say that because a lot of these reps, they won't talk about the income disclosure statement. But that's a story for a whole nother day. And I think that thanks to the internet and more people spreading their stories and talking about what their time was like in their MLM, and the fact that there's so many different ex-Hun bots from different types of MLM companies that are in different types of industries, whether it's the health and fitness industry, whether it's something like Unique, for example. And all of these people are coming out and telling their stories. So I'm hoping that with all of this, it kind of, I mean, it's already kind of not necessarily put a dent into the MLM industry, but it's becoming a little bit more well known as to how predatory these MLMs are. So at the end of the day, I think that the MLM structure was never and will never be a good structure or a good business model. However, I do think that there was a time and place for MLMs back in the day, not necessarily 100%, but it was a way for women to feel empowered, and it was a way for women to be able to enter the workforce and be able to talk to other adults and network and learn how to sell things. So I think that it had maybe a time and place at one point, but it does not have a time and place anymore. I think that it's gotten way worse. I think that market saturation is out of control because there's so many different MLM companies, and you can only sell so many products to so many people at a time. On top of that as well, we all know that in order to make the real money when it comes to these MLM companies, in my humble opinion, is you have to recruit. You see more of a bonus check when you recruit people, not when you're just selling the products. So I do think that maybe it had a place in time at one point when it wasn't as predatory as it is today, but it doesn't have a place in time right now. Network marketing is not the way of the future, how some of these MLM reps make it out to be. And I guess with all of that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. This is obviously just based purely on opinion. This isn't, you know, this is all just opinion based. This is just a thought that I had that I wanted to kind of bring to the table and kind of get the discussion going. And I guess that's all that I have. If you have watched up to here, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And this is Monica reporting to you live from a highway. Bye.